What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Recher Reacts. I am your host, Jay Recher. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Monday night. Plenty to get into on the program today. It's going to be a full Monday Night Raw recap. A lot of wrestling on the show. The Rays in action right now as we speak. I was going to wait until the game was over, but listen, the Rays are down 3-0 in the top of the seventh inning. So as of right now, it's just going to be all wrestling unless we get a miracle comeback from the Tampa Bay Rays. They've really been struggling, swinging the bat consistently, trying to piece everything together. So, big time wrestling talk on the show today. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at JRetcher, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Like and subscribe on the channel if this is your first time checking it out. Trying to spread the word, trying to grow this thing, and yeah, build up that subscriber list. We are going to be live pretty much every single night right here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. But head on over to YouTube because that's probably the best way that you can communicate with me and get in on the program. We'll break down Monday Night Raw, and then we'll also talk about this guy right here, Titus O'Neil. And we were able to attend an event with Titus today, and not only a friend to the program on Jay and Zach, and a friend to our station 95.3 WDAE and our whole building at iHeartMedia, uh, a guy that I consider a personal friend. And we've done stuff with his charity as well, the Bullard Family Foundation, and to be able to be in attendance today when he was giving out copies of his new book to a lot of people that help him out, people that are on his board and his advisory board, and people that have helped him out, volunteering for his many events in the Tampa Bay area, giving back to the people in the Bay Area. Just lucky to be in attendance tonight. So we'll get into that here in a bit. All right, Monday Night Raw recap, and it starts tonight with two guys in the ring, and we know they're going to be jockeying for the World Heavyweight Championship at the Bash in Berlin, and that's Randy Orton and Gunther. And last week, we see Randy Orton hitting Gunther with the RKO out of nowhere. Gunther gets distracted by Drew McIntyre coming down to the ring, lets his guard down just a little bit, and Randy makes him pay. Tonight, you kind of go back to the well. I didn't really love the opening segment tonight on Monday Night Raw. I thought Randy was on point, but I thought Gunther was a little weak. I didn't like his work on the mic. He was getting booed, like we're talking Dom Mysterio booed, and he tried to like feed back into the crowd and get back at the crowd because they were chanting USA at him, but it wasn't clear, it wasn't concise. I don't think it was his strongest work, and it didn't really hit home. I mean, regardless of what he was doing tonight, it didn't matter because they were booing him incessantly. But as far as what he had to say, I don't think it was his best performance. I also didn't like the look. I don't necessarily know what he was wearing. You have this guy that's the world heavyweight champion, and he's wearing a suit the first couple of weeks, and then I don't really know what kind of outfit it was today. Um, he wasn't wearing like a tracksuit. It's hard to describe, but he didn't really look. Again, we go back to the conversation that we heard from Bully Ray and Dave LaGreca on Busted Open a couple weeks ago when it came to Gunther needed to look like M. Bison, right? He needs to look like the Ring General. Tonight, he didn't necessarily look like that. And, they attack him at the end of that first segment there where Ludwig Kaiser comes out. And I didn't think it was the strongest attack either. Gunther's talking about, I'm going to leave Randy a bloody mess. And then, they kind of chopped him and it left a lot to be desired. And again, I thought Randy did a great job, but just kind of looking at the rest of the execution of that segment, I was not impressed. It's got to get better. Now, how they ended the show with Randy getting the RKO on Ludwig Kaiser, picking up the victory. You could tell they obviously ran out of time. And the show went off air on USA to go to their brand new show, Anonymous, and we didn't really get a conclusion. You could tell they were just like, go home, and boom, hits uh, Ludwig Kaiser with the RKO, and then Randy and Gunther are kind of battling it out in the ring. But the way that the WWE does it, they'll put something on their social media in case you missed it. But still, I thought the bookends of the show tonight were not the strongest performances, and I don't think you really put much of that on Randy Orton. After that, Sheamus versus Pete Dunne in a really hard hitting affair. Uh, Sheamus made Pete Dunne look very strong here. And I love the one part he says, "Well, what do you butch or a pitch?" Like he let him have it. And the way that the match ended was very unique. Sheamus's hand gets caught in the turnbuckle, his hand that's been getting worked over ever since he was attacked last week by the Shillelagh and Pete Dunne, and he pulls his hand out of the turnbuckle. It comes off of the corner there, and you see kind of the padding. Like that was a really, really cool visual, and there was no waiting. Pulls his hand out of there, right across the ring, bro kick, 1, 2, 3. Really, really smart finish there. And yeah, I thought Pete Dunne looked good. I thought the ending was creative. Like that a lot. Maxine Dupree and Ivy Nile. I thought Maxine came out of the gates looking very, very good and hitting some moves on Ivy Nile that we haven't seen before. And then here comes the Wyatt Six. They come out, who was it? They surround the ring, but you see Nikki Cross just absolutely attack Ivy Nile. And then it ends with a pretty damn cool Sister Abigail from Uncle Howdy to Chad Gable. We're going to see that one-on-one match next week. But the Wyatt Six making their presence felt. And it was only for a short time. And I think people liked that they're around, but you just wonder, like, where are they going to go from here? Where's the storyline development when it comes to the Wyatt Six and American Made? You want this to have some kind of life, but I also think you need to have something where there still has to be some type of mystery, right? With Wyatt Six, I don't want to see them all the time with the lights on. I don't necessarily want to see Uncle Howdy in a one-on-one match with Chad Gable. These guys should be kept kind of separate, off the beaten path. Like, remember how they made their debut? Like, it was carnage. It was carnage in the backstage area. And now they're going to be wrestling one-on-one matches on Monday Night Raw. Man, it's got to feel special. It's got to feel special. And right now, it's just with these guys, I think it's a little. It might be a little forced. It might be going a little too fast. So hopefully they figure it out. But um, this is what happened kind of with the Bray Wyatt stuff. Firefly Funhouse was good, but when they started speeding up the story, that's when it gets lost in translation a little bit. And I really hope that everybody involved there in WWE focuses on, taking it slow with these guys. Don't overexpose it. We don't need to see them in a bunch of matches right away. Make it mysterious. Make people want more. Don't just pop in and pop out and like, all right, now we have a match. Like, give me some long-term storytelling. That to me is what's going to benefit everybody involved. CM Punk goes to the ring. Um, and surprise, surprise, strap match. We saw that coming from a mile away, didn't we? We mentioned that on the show last Monday night. So we see that, or we hear that CM Punk and Drew McIntyre in a strap match at the Bash in Berlin. And there were some pretty swift lines here, and I use that word on purpose. CM Punk said, "I'm the Taylor Swift for men." And then a couple of minutes later, he says, "Yeah, with this strap, I don't want Drew to get away from you, but I really want to whip this bitch." It's just, yeah, that was classic. And as good as that was as bad as kind of the ending is. CM Punk says, "Oh, I'll trade you this strap for the bracelet around your wrist," and Drew's like, "Nah, I'm good." And then CM Punk ends the segment with, "Don't forget, it's not me that's attached to you; it's you that's attached to me." And the delivery was not very poignant, and that was it. CM Punk music plays, and they had a long stare down. But again, tonight on Monday Night Raw, there were some lapses in execution, and it was a little. It missed on certain things. And I'm always going to keep it 100 with you here on the show because I love Monday Night Raw, love WWE, love wrestling. I'm going to tell you when it's great. I'm going to tell you when things miss. And I thought there was a couple things already just in the first portion of the show that just it didn't connect. Didn't connect. Really cool to see Roberto Luongo and Robbie Lawler. Roberto Luongo, Hall of Fame goaltender. Robbie Lawler, UFC Hall of Famer, former welterweight champion. Those guys. I always love to see like it's almost like Celebrity Row. They're right behind the broadcast crew. More on the broadcast crew here in a second. Then Final Testament and the New Day. After the promo early on with Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, and Odyssey Jones, and you see a little bit of tension there between the two fellas in the New Day. Xavier Woods letting Kofi Kingston know, like, "Hey man, I felt some type of way because you kind of made these decisions without me." And people are just wondering, like, is Kofi going to turn? Is Woods going to turn? Is neither going to turn? That's something that they've been priding themselves on for years. Like, nah, we don't need to turn on each other. But the New Day thing's gotten stale, and it's almost like they've been in a holding pattern since Big E got hurt, and they haven't found long term success for Kofi and Woods. So do they go their separate ways? Do they try to add Odyssey Jones? Doesn't mean you have to replace Big E, uh, but they wrestle the match. Uh, They end up coming out with the win, and one of the biggest takeaways from the match is that when Kofi needs to make the hot tag, he doesn't tag in Woods, he tags in Odyssey Jones, and the look on Woods' face, you'll see it all over social media. It was classic, and he still looked a little miffed after the match. So again, this story is not, it's far from done. That's for sure. One thing that also stuck out to me about this match was Karrion Cross. I love how Karrion Cross was pushed. I loved how he was portrayed at NXT when he was the champion. The TikTok stuff, the smaller venue, I think, helped him. The smoke coming out of the ground, what Scarlett was able to do. I thought it was a really, really good character, but he's just not connected with the fans so far on the main roster. And you look at today, he's a strong guy, but he has trouble sometimes putting moves together. There's like a little bit of a hitch in his giddy up when he's going for one of those like insane suplexes, and it kind of gets the crowd in a way of going like, it's a little bit of an exhale. There's never a move, move, move. Wow, that guy's impressive. Like you don't even hear that. You don't see that. Like n- look at a guy like Ludwig Kaiser, right? Not nearly as big, not nearly as strong as Karrion Cross, but the way that he puts moves together, even if it's just a slap to the chest of Randy Orton, it gets people go. Oof. When he runs around the ring and then does the double drop kick to Randy Orton's leg by the steps on the outside, everybody, ooh, even heels out there that do these big moves. A guy like Baron Corbin, I know he's a baby face now, it looks like, but when he was a big time heel, some of the moves that he does, the deep six, like it makes you go, wow, that guy's legit. He's super talented. And I still think that there's a disconnect between Karrion Cross and the fans. And a big thing is that his moves, they don't connect as well. So hopefully it's something that he can fix because I still think there's some legs to this story. But wow, what a killer black hole slam from Odyssey at the end of that match. Um, but yeah, it needs to progress. But what's the next step in that storyline? Next up, Bronson Reed against The Miz. I love how a guy like Adam Pierce can stand there right before Miz goes out to the ring and he's like, "Oh, I should have suspended him, should have all this, but you wanted the match. Do you really want this match?" And Miz just blatantly goes, "I don't know. I don't know if I want this match." But then he clarifies, "I don't know if I want this match, but I have to, I have to go out there. I have to avenge my guy, our truth." And I thought the Miz did a great job. And this is a different side of Miz. People are always going to love to boo Miz. And there's always going to be the side of Miz where he's a baby face that it's going to be like goofy Miz, right? And he's going to do stuff with our truth, right? We've come to kind of learn and accept that that's babyface Miz. But this Miz, kind of underdog Miz, fighting from underneath, going to avenge his friends, is not something you see all the time, but you can hear that there's equity there between the Miz and the WWE Universe. So when he does something like this, and we've seen Bronson Reed, Rollins, and now with our truth, like there's a legitimate, like, hey, I got to go kick this guy's ass because he's taken out two of the stars in this company. So I like that. I liked it, and I thought the Miz did a really good job of fighting back in this match, making this a no disqualification match. I thought they should have done a better job of explaining that well before the bell was going to ring. That was something that he should have probably said to Adam Pierce, like before he walked down to the ring. It was something Michael Cole slid in there uh, right at the right time because then they immediately went to the outside. Here comes the chairs. It was yeah, I mean, it made sense. And then after one tsunami splash and the Miz, loses this match to Bronson Reed, and here comes Bronson Reed going up to the top for another one. Braun Strowman's music hits. I like this move a lot. These are going to be two guys going at it. Braun Strowman kind of defending the locker room now. Guys going down. big guys, not going to be intimidated by Bronson Reed. Let's see. Let's see if these two guys can put together, because sometimes it's not always a great match when you get two big behemoths like this together. Hard for them to sell, hard for one guy to necessarily look way stronger than the other, um, and hard for them to really do a long term, like a long match. So let's hope that Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman is the kind of heavyweight clash that we've been hoping for, because they're both talented guys. They're both huge and certainly talented. So hopefully it works out. Uh, the Terror Twins get the absolute crap beat out of them when we see Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio look like they're facing off in the ring. Couple of good promos from both of the groups, Dom and Liv, and then also Rhea and Damian. And then here comes Damian down to the ring, and you know that Judgment Day is lurking somewhere. And Dom kind of escapes. Rhea's in the ring, and then here comes Liv. Like it got crazy early and often. And man, that was the biggest ass kicking of the entire night. Liv laid it on Rhea Ripley. She threw her into the barricade like 3 or 4 times on that shoulder, and then they went to work on Damian Priest in the ring. Coup de grace from Finn Balor off the top rope, from the top rope. You got a frog splash from Dominic Mysterio from the top rope, and the way that Finn Balor held up Damian Priest's hair, and they just kind of slung Rhea like on top of him. That was strong, very strong for the Judgment Day. But the one thing that I'm thinking about as I'm watching that pose right there with those 5 wrestlers and the 2 people on the floor, and also in the back at the end, was that they need a heater. They need a big person for this group. They're all very similar in stature. And one thing that worked about the Judgment Day is, like, you had Finn and you had a guy like JD McDonough, and Carlito's kind of in his own world kind of thing with his big hair, and Dominic Mysterio's kind of the young buck of the group, but you had Damien, who's super tall. You had Rhea, who's one of the bigger women on the roster. And right now, everybody, if you look at the height, they're all exactly the same. And whether it's like an Omos or somebody like that, they need a big person to go with that group to kind of, unbalance it, but balance it in the same way. And if they don't do that, I just don't know. There's going to be a miss there. So hopefully they figure something out with that. Triple threat match for the women's tag team champions. And it just starts out with Damage Control coming out with music that doesn't really fit them. Go back to when Io Sky was Io Shirai, and she was really popping in NXT. And even when she was up here in the WWE, dark entrances, few lights, spotlights flickering. Her and Kyrie Sane, that's what they need to do. There needs to be a mysteriousness about them, something dark and ominous. Because right now it's just not working. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn have a better intro than them two. And I know they're the champions, but it's weird. It fell flat. I don't get the whole Zoe Stark, Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler thing. The name is too long. They need to change the name. But it's just like these 3 brooding females that are just pissed off all the time. Again, you got to give us reason to care about these 3 women. And I think Io and Kyrie, people like them. And I think they probably should be the champions right now. But again, another segment, the 1, 2, 3 comes down. There's no real pop. And that's not what you want. So, as I'm going through all this entire list of everything that has happened in the show, while there were some good things there, I think there was more misses on this show on Monday Night Raw than we've seen in a long time. And, with next week being the last Monday Night Raw before the Bash in Berlin, hopefully this go home show will be really good. Jey Uso backstage mentioned that he spoke to Sami Zayn, and Sami's obviously in a bad position after losing his Intercontinental title to Braun Breaker and then losing that 2 out of 3 falls match. So Jey Uso is going to enter himself into the Intercontinental Tournament, try to avenge his buddy before Sami comes back and they possibly make a run at the tag team championships. But this is just occupying Jey, occupying Sami for now until they come back around Survivor Series and join up with Roman and the OG bloodline uh, to take on guys like Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu and Tamatanga Tangaloa. Can't wait to see how that whole thing comes together. And then I wanted to end the Monday Night Raw recap with something that was really, really cool. And that was Michael Cole getting choked up talking about Pat McAfee. And then a really an awesome video package about Pat McAfee before he leaves for college game day and takes off for the next couple of months and focuses primarily on football. Now, he'll return in January for when Monday Night Raw goes to Netflix. But when people talk about when people talk about the success of the WWE and wrestling over the last couple of years, there's a lot that has gone into it. And we point to guys like Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, deservedly so, right? But let's not get it twisted. One of the reasons why wrestling has gotten so big is Pat McAfee. He brings an energy, he brings a liveliness, he brings a likability to the product every single Monday night. He did it on Friday Night SmackDown as well. But even utilizing his platform on his show on ESPN to make wrestling bigger, right? Before all these big pay per views, he has these wrestlers on his show just as much as he has guys like Bill Belichick and Adam Schefter and these guys in football and baseball and every sport. Like Pat McAfee has done such a great job. He's had PK Subban on. Um, just look at how many different people from different sports that he's shown love to and brought him on the show to enhance the product. The WWE is no different. He brings those guys on there as well, and that levels up the WWE and makes them, even in people that don't believe that, all right, it's a sport, it's not a sport, it's predetermined. All the people that hate on wrestling, like Pat McAfee gives it legitimate time. He gives wrestling legitimacy. And that is one of the most valuable things that you could get in this industry. Look at some of the biggest things that we've seen in wrestling, going back all the way to, how Cindy Lauper and Liberace and Muhammad Ali and Mr. T and all of those big time figures were involved in WrestleMania 1. Look at how you had a guy like Dennis Rodman, who was one of the most popular basketball players on the planet in the NWO. Anytime you can get that anytime you can get that appeal, right? You get that pop culture crossing over with WWE, you're going to get success. You're going to get fun. You're going to get entertainment. And that's exactly what Pat McAfee has brought to the table for the WWE. He'll be missed 100%. But I got to tell you, he deserves it. Excuse me. Let me get a drink here real quick. Pat, Pat McAfee deserves all the success that he has right now. That guy absolutely grinds. He is a hard worker. You can tell. Just you follow him on social media, you see him everywhere. You see how he lifts up other people. That is a guy that has earned where he is right now. He's earned the spot of being on Sports Center. He's earned that spot of being on ESPN and being with the WWE. And I got a chance to meet Pat a couple of years ago at the Barrett News. Was it the BSM, the Barrett Sports Media Summit? And I got a chance to ask him a question. I got a chance to talk to him about wrestling in Tampa, and he was just so gracious with his time. And this is really before he took off. And I'll never forget like just how nice he was and how open he was and answering my questions about wrestling and talking about it in Tampa. And he just looked at me and said, "Jay, it's Tampa. Tampa loves their wrestling." He's like, "There is an audience for that." He's like, "Don't shy away from it. People that get it, get it. People that don't get it, fuck them." And I don't like cursing here on the show, but that's what he said, and that lives with me. Not just about wrestling, but just the fact that like you got to do you. You got to dive into what you're strong at, what you're passionate about. That's why I'm doing this podcast. That's why it's freaking I don't even know what time it is right now. It's not early, but I'm going to do this every night cuz I'm going to push myself to be the best that I can be and continue to grow my brand. And Pat McAfee for the brand has done that probably as good as anybody here in the last 10 years when it comes to sports and entertainment. So kudos to Pat McAfee for everything that he's done. He's earned all of these accomplishments. And again, he'll be missed on WWE programming, but he'll be back in January. Until then, we'll just enjoy him on college game on his show every week, but also on college game day every Saturday. And pretty cool. Seamus will be the guest picker in Ireland ahead of the matchup between Florida State and Georgia Tech. All right, last thing before I go on the Knights, a big thank you to the one and only Titus O'Neil. Now, Titus O'Neil is one of those people where people ask me, is he really that good of a guy? Like, is he that cool? Is he that down to earth? Is he that helpful? Yeah. And I think less and less people ask me that because they know and they've met him. And tonight we were able to be in attendance to a bunch of people that Titus considers his close friends and confidants. And really, he's just a special guy. And this is his new book. This is his new book, Wrestling with Fatherhood, My Championship Journey to My Greatest Title, Dad. Wrestling with Fatherhood, My Championship Journey to My Greatest Title, Dad. You got to go check it out. Comes out in early September. Go order it right now on Amazon. But Titus is that guy. He's everywhere. What an ambassador for not just the WWE, but for our Tampa Bay community. You see him everywhere. If there's an event in the Tampa Bay community, there's a high likelihood that he's in attendance. Saw him there Sunday night at Riverfront Park. First game in Tampa Bay Sun history. He was there. No surprise. Gracious with his time, gracious with his words. And we got a chance to see Titus on the way out after the game. And I was busting his chops for drinking Perrier water. Um, but we were there with the two little ones, Jasmine and Jade. And after he gave, me a hug and Steph a hug, he asked the girls about school and how they were doing. And he was just so friendly to them. And he's met them, over the years. And we always participate in his back to school bash at Raymond James Stadium, where he gives away 30,000 backpacks, haircuts, medical, dental. It's amazing what he does for people in this community. So he's met the girls before, but he still took some time out to ask them about the first week of school and how they were doing. And as we walked back from the game to our car, the girls were absolutely buzzing because Titus took a couple minutes out of his day to ask them about school. And they've met him before. So it wasn't like they were starstruck and stuff first, but that's who he is. That's Titus, man. He is that guy. If you've never met him, man, find a way. Volunteer at an event, go up to him and say hello. He's very approachable. Um, but I can't wait to dive into this book. Again, Wrestling with Fatherhood, My Championship Journey to My Greatest Title, Dad. And to see the work that he's done with his three kids, to see the work that he's done in our community and at the middle school with his name on it, it's it's an inspiration. He's an inspirational guy. And after you hear him talk and after you have been around him, you just want to do good yourself. And that really is kind of the mark of like a solid human being. You're not just making a difference, you're inspiring other people to make a difference. And for a guy like Titus O'Neil, I can't thank him enough for all that he does for the people in our community and what he continues to do because it's not stopping. He's not slowing down, man. That's the best part. And if you want to, get on board and rock with the Bullard Family Foundation and help out, go to their website, bullardfamilyfoundation.org. There's plenty of events that you can volunteer or help out with over the year. It's not just the back to school bash. Go check them out. And yeah, get down with whatever Titus is doing. We need more Titus O'Neills in this world. And if you could just be a fraction and do a fraction of what he's doing for our community, just think about how great Tampa Bay could really be. All right, that's going to wrap it up for me. About a half hour tonight. Quick update for you guys that are watching on the Rays. Still down 3-0, bottom of the eighth, top of the ninth coming up. Follow me on all social media platforms at Recher. Like and subscribe to me right here on YouTube. Be live tomorrow at noon. Jay and Zach on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. Our guy Denard Span joins us in studio at 1 o'clock. Our coverage on WDAE starts at 6 a.m. with Pat and Aaron, so you don't want to miss those guys. And then, of course, Tom Krasnicki at 3 o'clock on WDAE. All right. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. You guys are the best. Go get some sleep. We'll see you tomorrow night right here on Recher Reacts. Peace out.